You don't just say to them, okay mate, come straight in, and while you're here, nick all my stuff. Hi, it's me again, and do you ever read the headlines of an article and you think, what the hell? Well, in this case, it happened to me. As you may or may not know, I've got Google Alerts on my phone, and this came up, and I thought, what on earth? Have the rules changed at all? But we'll go through this article together to see if it truly is true or not. TV licensing guidelines spells out the full rules for UK households. Households across the UK may think officers can enter their home without consent, and in most cases that's true, but there's one circumstance where they can. Officers can only enter your home with consent if authorised to do so under a search warrant, granted by a magistrate. Now that is true. I haven't covered this much on this channel, unfortunately, but if you get a knock at your door and they say, hi, I'm from TV licensing, you can say no thank you and close the door. But if they've got a warrant, which they can only accrue by evidence from magistrate court, then you can't deny them access, unfortunately. But yeah, those are the rules as of right now. A magistrate has discretion to grant a search warrant for authorised persons to search premises suspected of illegal activity in respect of TVL. It is an offence to intentionally obstruct a person exercising this warrant of the Communications Act 2003. TV licensing will be accompanied by the police when executing the search warrant. That is true. The police can arrive at your door for two reasons. The first reason is to maintain the peace, and the second one is to enter your home because they have a warrant to do so. Do I need to let them in if you don't have a warrant? No. As the guidance explains, visiting officers must explain to the occupier while they are visiting. Be polite, courteous and fair. Apart from the ones that swear at you. And abide by the rules of conduct. You have no obligation to grant entry to them if you don't want to. If you refuse entry, they will leave. If they are refused access, then they reserve the right to use other methods of detection. Right, so how are they going to do that? We know the vans are a myth. They do sweet FAO. So how are they going to detect what you're watching? The majority of people these days don't rely on an aerial to receive TV programmes. They could be using Sky, they could be using Virgin, they could be using Freeview, which can be received via the internet. So how are they going to know? How are they going to know? This just smacks of propaganda and scare tactics. The guidance says that if you refuse entry, they can ask for consent to use equipment. They can also apply to a magistrate for a search warrant. Yes, but they have to have actual evidence, tangible evidence to do that. They can't just turn up at a magistrate and say, we want a warrant for this property. They can't. They have to have actual evidence to do this. But this is only a last resort, when a senior manager and legal advisor believe there's good reason to suspect an offence. But again, they must have actual evidence to do this. They can't just turn up at the magistrates and ask for a warrant. They can't. If they did that, they'd be laughed out the door. What happens when a visiting officer visits a home? They must explain their visit and follow strict conduct rules. They can't enter your home without a search warrant. And if you refuse entry, they can speak to you at the door. If they ask to leave, they will do so immediately. If they're allowed to come in by the occupant, the visit is normally very quick. The officer takes a brief view of the main living areas to verify whether or not TV receiving equipment is installed or in use. So I've got a TV here with the Amazon Fire TV stick installed. How are they going to determine that I'm watching live TV? How? I could have Freeview or FreeSat installed on this TV by default, and there we go. You are breaking the law. They will never do this fairly, believe me. They will say that you got a TV that has analog TV on it. There you go. You're guilty straight away. But what they can't see is us people abiding by the laws, not watching anything live, but no, you are guilty there and then. There was no one here independently who could say, okay, this person's obeying the law, we'll leave. No. They are incentivised by issuing you the fine, but also taking you to court. That's their incentive, is to punish you for having a TV, but I've got a phone, a tablet, a laptop, a desktop, which all receives TV channels, TV services. So they could come to my home, see TV, and that's it. I'm bound to rights. How is that fair? How is that fair? It's not. It's not. What are the rules of conduct for them? When attending a property, they will prove who they are through an ID badge, explain why they are visiting, and be polite, courteous, and fair. That one always gets me. That's not true. They can be aggressive to you at the door, for starters, but polite, courteous, and fair. That's it. Enter your house when given consent. If not given consent, they will end the visit and may use detection equipment. Here, the vans. Ooh, we've got vans, we can detect what you're watching. Nah, the vans do sweet FA. Respect people's rights to privacy and confidentiality. Follow laws, regulations, policies, and codes of practice. Stop if asked to leave. Now, if they come to your house, they can do what they want. They can not leave. It's like a vacuum salesman or a robber. You don't just say to them, okay mate, come straight in, and while you're here, nick all my stuff. No. You tell them to leave, and they should leave. If they come to your door, and they say they want to inspect your equipment, you say no, get lost, goodbye. Make sure the person being interviewed knows that watching TV channels or any TV service, watching live TV, or using an iPlayer or any device without TV may result in consequences. Well, I think most of us know the rules by now. We know not to watch anything live or use iPlayer. So that conversation's moot, in my opinion, because most of us know the rules by now. They may apply to the court for a search warrant if there's reason to suspect someone is recording, downloading any device, including watching TV and blah, blah, blah. Again, we know the rules. If you don't watch anything that's being broadcast or use iPlayer, you don't require a licence. How do I know if these officers are genuine? All officers will be carrying an ID card with a licence logo that shows their name, photo, job title, unique ID number, and card expiry date. Now, I don't know what a card looks like. It could be faked. So all I would say is that you just tell them to get lost and close the door. And also, if they ask you to sign anything, don't sign anything. You can sign something, and then after the fact, that can be changed to say whatever they want. You know, such as a full confession that you've been watching TV illegally. So don't say anything. Tell them to get lost and close the door. So, apart from the misleading article, this is quite accurate. Sophie Buchanan, who was a money and lifestyle writer for the Mirror. But yeah, that title really got me going before I even read the article itself. Because my initial thought was, have the rules changed? Can they come to my home without a permission or without a warrant? Those are the sort of questions that you do ask and you do think about when you're not paying licence fee. But as far as that's concerned, it hasn't changed. Anyway, guys, thanks for watching. If you could hit all the buttons down below, I'd really appreciate that. Thanks for watching. Take care, and I will see you in the next one.